Sorry about that. So participating in this isn't saying, I'm signed up, I have to do it, right? This is let me discern, let me figure out, is this something I could see myself doing that fits for me? So I'm going to share my screen. Give me one moment. I have a really old cough drop that's like chewy.
Oh, it's like where your teeth stick to it.
Uh-huh. Like not a hard thing anymore.
Right.
Like a caramel cough drop. So, all right. So welcome. We are excited that you're here for those live, but also we know that there will be some people watching the replay. So thank you for being here. And Sally's going to kick us off.
All right. So I think one of the best things that we can ask, because this is such a business where I think sometimes people can overcomplicate it and think that it's more than it is. Because really, if you are on your own journey, and to be perfectly honest, most of the people that do hop on these calls are on their own journey of some sort or have done something with Beachbody in the past. And it's not that different when you're coaching. You're sharing, about your journey. You're sharing about these types of things that you're doing. But what you're doing now is now these people will enroll with you versus, you doing it yourself. So one of the things we like to ask is, would you like to have more time to do the things that bring you joy? And that's really a big one, because I think a lot of people do things because they feel it's expected of them. Maybe they don't have another choice. Maybe there's not an option for them to be able to change their situation because they might be stuck either financially or they've made some sort of a commitment. And we really want, like, part of our mission is that you can live the life full of joy that you want to live and never have to be stuck in a situation that no longer serves you because there's no other option. And so that's a big question that we like to ask. And then, have you ever recommended a restaurant or a favorite meal to a friend? The reason why we like to talk about that is because this is really no different. I think a lot of people, when they start with this business, they think, I could never do that. Like, I don't even know what to share. But at the end of the day, you're just sharing your journey. You're just sharing what has changed your life. You are sharing what has made you feel the way that you're feeling. And if you believe in the products, if you believe in the journey, if you believe in the groups, if you believe in what you've been served with, then you share that. Like, that's really what you share, is your journey and how you want to help other people feel that same way. And then the last question we like to ask is, have you ever posted something to social media? Well, pretty much everybody has, right? And a lot of times when you're posting to social media, you might just post something random, or you might share a meme, or you might do something like that. But if you can think of your social media now as like your business storefront and how you can serve people, what if your page was a place where someone, that mama or that woman who feels like they just don't have that support, what if they could come to your page and feel that sense of joy, feel that sense of support, feel that sense of help? Maybe it's a recipe, maybe it's a meal tip. Really, our goal is to help people find themselves, put self-care first. And that's really the heart of what we do as coaches. We want to help other people. And so what we do, you're probably already doing it. You just don't have the coach hat on. You have your own personal journey hat on. And so if you said yes to any of those things, then we truly believe that coaching could be for you and is for you if this is something that you're passionate enough about, that you would love other people to see their lives change through this opportunity.
So just to share a little bit about our stories, I started coaching, it was 8 years as of July 1st. And the total honest truth is that I had started my own health and wellness journey with Beachbody about 6 weeks prior. And I really liked Shakeology. And I forgot to cancel that second shipment. And I thought, oh, shoot. And then I had a friend who was signing up, and not because I didn't want it, but just because I knew, like, that's an investment. But it was one that I wanted to continue to make. But I had a friend that was talking about signing up as a coach. And I was like, oh, you can do that? And she was like, yeah, you get a discount. And I was like, oh, well, and you could earn some money and I could help some people. Okay. And I really wasn't intending to start a business. I really wasn't intending to do a whole much with it. I think it was maybe slightly impulsive. I don't know. But I started to share a little bit of my journey and what I was doing, and just realized, like, wow, this speaks to a lot of people. Like, there are a lot of other women who resonate with the things that I'm sharing, with the things that I've struggled with. And I started to find just the joy and the purpose in sharing and just inviting people along to do it with me. I was 6 weeks in to, a very new kind of journey and discovery, but also realized, oh, I'm earning money and this is paying for my products and this is helping my family. It's holding me accountable to keep taking the steps forward. And on top of that, getting the satisfaction of knowing that I'm helping other people make progress as well. And that was a big deal. So that was, here I am 8 years later, and have basically realized, like, this is a pretty big, this has become a very big part of who I am and my family. And especially in the last 2 years, when I had to step away from a lot of my voice teaching and things like that, it's just become a really big part of just my overall life goals and what I can see myself doing, because it's just brought a lot of purpose, but also it has brought a lot of provision for my family.
So this is my 7th year coaching, and I am also a teacher. Outside of coaching, I was a full-time teacher in the classroom when I first started. And I had always wanted to be home with my kids when I had kids. And at this point in time, I had 3 kids, and I still was full-time in the classroom. And I was like, okay, I have this goal. I really want to be home with my family. I want to be able to volunteer. I want to be able to do all the things. And as a teacher, when they have class parties, you're leading class parties. When they have field trips, you probably have a field trip. And so there was a lot that I felt like I was missing by not being with them. And so I knew I wanted to go part-time. And so when I started the business, I was like, okay, so maybe I can help people. Maybe this is something that I could do to possibly grow enough income to be able to leave the classroom part-time. And we have to insert the income disclaimer. Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success. Every, coach's success is his or her diligence and skill. But I knew that if I put my blinders on and I believed enough in this, it's possible that I could build it big enough to where I could go part-time. And 2 years after that, that's when I was able to go part-time, because I really did this very much part-time on the side. But the reason that I really wanted to do this business was I felt lost. I had, 3 kids now. I couldn't get the weight off. I was winded. I just kind of felt like in a rut. And I lost 30 pounds and 32 inches with the programs. And coaching kind of did not come naturally to me. I said no many times. I said, I'm not a coach. Like, how can I help people? And what actually happened is people started messaging me and saying, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? You have dropped so much weight. You look happier. You're just more positive. And so I started telling them, they're like, well, I want to do it too. I'm like, sure, great. Let's sign you up with my coach. And then my coach was like, okay, but they know you. Why don't you do it? And of course, the whole spiel, no, blah, blah, blah. But it was the best decision I could have made, because being able to change lives and serve my family at the same time, if I knew my mission and being able to help people, like, then I was like, okay, now I'm in this. Now I have this mission to serve, and I want to teach people, and I want to help them save their life. Like, I truly felt my life had been saved in one way or another.
So I think sorry about that. So often I find that there are a lot of misconceptions about what coaches are and what we do. And I think some of this is because we see people online all the time, right? And we see people do things really well, whether it's coaching or it's something else. And we see people who don't necessarily do it in the way that resonates with us. And so I think one of the most important things is just to have an honest conversation of what is it that we do and what don't we do? Who are we and who are we not? And so it's so often people think, oh, I got to know all the things. I have to really have figured out, done all the programs, or understand everything about fitness and nutrition. The beautiful thing with Beachbody is we don't have to be the experts. They have provided so many resources. We have, professionals making the programs. We have so many tools from the company that are helping to train us and to prepare us and to help us understand. I have learned so much over the last number of years, just by being a part of the process and helping other people walk through it. Also, one of the biggest things that we get all the time is, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be pushy. That's probably number one thing that I hear. And so we are not salespeople. Do we sell things? Yes. I mean, let's be honest here. But one of the best things that I heard someone say this past year was that the best kind of selling feels like service, that people should feel that they have been served well. And so it is our job to first and foremost focus on our own journey, to model that, not perfectly, but inviting other people to do it with us, to do it alongside us. And in that, we help to equip them, we help to empower them, and we have awesome resources, just like Sally said before, like, you experience an amazing, life-changing restaurant. I think restaurants can be life-changing, or, service of some sort. You want to share it with people. And so that's basically our job, is sharing that. Not having to be at the perfect weight. Like, one of the beautiful things about every Beachbody event, Sarah experienced this for the first time at our conference. You see everybody, like every size, shape, age, like male, female. It is beautiful. There is not one type of person. The certification or degree, that kind of goes along with the experts part. We don't have to know all the things. We have to be teachable. We don't need big muscles or abs, right? Like, again, we are in process people, and Beachbody does a beautiful job too of affirming the process and where people are, and just saying, keep moving forward. Another beautiful thing, we don't have to meet sales quotas. There are people who kind of join to say, I want to help a few people, want to cover my Shakeology. I want to keep, this as kind of a little side thing, extra cushion. And there, at no time do you, say, well, you only invited one customer in. So there's really no quota that you have to meet. And that's freeing. And then you don't have to have a big following on social media. Coach after coach after coach that we listen to, that we learn from, will say, I had like 300 friends on Facebook. Like, I didn't know how to use Instagram. This is a whole process that we just start where we are. We keep it simple. That's one of the biggest things that's my goal with our team, is like, let's not overcomplicate it. And Sally said that earlier. We don't have to have this big monstrous following. We start where we are.
Yeah, I think that's so important, because I feel like there's two things that you need to have as you go into this, as we're getting into like what we do as coaches. One of the things that you have to know is what your own goals are. Like, what do you want to accomplish with this business? Because if you know what you want, then it will stop you from comparing yourself to everybody else. I would say one of the biggest things that deter people is they compare. They're not as far as this person is, or they haven't done this, or maybe they helped, 2 people this month and somebody else helped 5. There is no comparison with it. Who you help, you help. And I think sometimes when you get in your head like that, you forget that you've helped one person. That's one person. That's a big deal. It is a big deal to help one person change their life. If you change one person's life, you've also changed a family. Okay. So you have to keep that in your head, that we are people who truly want to see people live their very best lives. And so one of the things, obviously, that you need to do, you have to be committed to your own journey. Because if you are not committed to your journey and you're trying to help somebody, but they're not seeing you do the things, they're not seeing you show up, they're not seeing you post in the same accountability group that you're running for them, whether that's with your coach or on your own, if you're not in there, they will not be in there. They'll do about half of what you do. And you'll notice that, like, on your as coaches, like, when you are serving and mentoring somebody and helping them, they will probably do half of what you do. So you need to make sure that you're doing those things so that they then do them too. Okay. We also share our journey on social media with friends and family. I know, and Sarah, I'm just going to say, I was just talking to Sarah about this the other day, because I was like, with the first time I meet you, weren't you worried about social media? And she was like, I've never talked on my stories. Like, this freaks me out. And I just messaged her the other day. I'm like, girl, that was you, right? Like, you're talking on your stories now. And she's like, I just learned it. Like, it just started to become more natural. Like, she just started to feel it and she did it. So you don't have to be perfect on it, but yeah, you do have to share like that. It's the best platform. Is it the only way? No. Word of mouth is great. You should be talking to people outside of this. It shouldn't be the only form of communication, but you can reach more people, and you don't have to be perfect. Your posts don't have to be perfect. You just learn as you go. You go before you know. And that's one of the biggest things I think we need to realize is you go before you know, and it's not going to be perfect. You should see my post from 2015. And I'm still here.
On occasion,
You
I will share, look at this. This was a post
right,
8 years ago.
right. Oh
Go
my
see what
goodness.
Emily did.
What not to do. Here's Sally's post from circa 2015. I think I actually had a big Shakeology with a big $20 off sign. I'm like, okay, so helping people get started on their own journey and get results. That honestly, that's the easy part. But here's what you also have to remember. I'm shifting between so I can see you guys. You are working with adults, okay? You are working with adults who are responsible as to whether or not they're going to do it. You are there to support them, but you cannot take it personally if they decide not to do it. Just like as coaches, you have to want to do this business. Your coach can't want it more than you do. Okay. Because you're not an employee and we're not your boss. We are your mentor and your business partner. You have to want to do the business. You have to want to show up and do the business. And if there's any point in time where you're like, I just don't think this is for me anymore, or my goals have changed, then you just need to be honest, because your coach and your mentor is going to mentor you based on what your goals are. And if those change, you just then tell them, okay, this is how it's changed and this is what we're doing. So the more open communication you can have as a coach is similar to how you'd want a challenger. So when you're thinking about your journey, what kind of a communication do you want? Because at the end of the day, that is what you want from your challengers as well. Connecting and building relationships, that comes with it, right? Like, that is the biggest piece. You have to have a relationship for them to want to show up. And then inspiring others through living your best and healthiest life. That's kind of the same as committing to your own journey. You will inspire people as you share your journey. And that, honestly, in a nutshell, that's how you get started. And of course, as you grow and you learn more about this business, there's more to it. But there's no point in talking about that before you get there, because you have to get that building block steps first. And then we continue to grow as you continue to grow.
And just to tag on to that, I think living our best and healthiest life, but also our most honest. And obviously, we're not going to share everything with people on social media. Like, we all have seen those types of posts, and we don't want to be that. But at the same time, the posts and the sharing with my challengers that has made the most impact and has helped people to trust me has been the honest stuff. And it's not just this is the best thing ever, right? But it's this is how I am still pursuing this lifestyle, and this is still a really important part of my life. And it's that we are in process and we're welcoming people into the process. Sally, I know that you need to hop off shortly. Feel free to do that, and I can kind of take it from here if you want. If you're
Okay.
around.
I'm just gonna go pick her up from gymnastics, and then if she lets me, because she always gets a snack, I'll hop on. So watch for me again, because she usually eats a snack after, and we sit here for a minute. Okay. I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good. Again, the beauty of coaching, I feel like anytime we do any of these calls, usually there's someone in their car, there's someone who's dealing with bedtime with kids, there's someone who might be like finishing up work somewhere else. And it's just kind of, it's how it goes. So the perks of coaching, this is the stuff that, like, when I signed up, I was like, oh, I think I get a discount and maybe I'll help some people and earn some money. I had no idea. Just the way it would bless me. And I'm going to actually start with get in the best shape of your life while connecting with other women like you, because am I in the best shape of my life right now? No, I'm not. But have I been in this time? Yes. And am I way more fit and consistent than I ever would have been? Absolutely. Like, it's been a tough number of years, last few years for us. And I often think, like, I think if I wasn't doing this is what has kind of pulled me back. It's like, I'm going to keep stepping forward because, first of all, not because of obligation to other people, but because I know it's best for me and I feel best. But also having that accountability of, like, I'm doing this with people. I'm doing this with my friends. We're saying, hey, are you doing this new program? Yes. And then the excitement of that, the freshness of that, and the connecting with women like me, I feel like not only my challengers, but I think one of the most life-giving things in the last year or two has been seeing our team of coaches grow and the community that we have there. The friendships there were 5 of us who went to our annual conference in July, and just that, like, I had been in the presence of all of them at some point, but none of them had met each other in person. And it was like, the kind of cool thing, it was like no big deal. Cause like we see each other on Monday nights on our team calls, and it was like, hey friend, like this is a family. It's like a sisterhood. And it was like, yay, we just get to like be together. So the opportunity to travel and earn incentives, this has been one of the most fun and biggest blessings. Takes work, right? Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success or income. But I have earned vacations that I have gone probably 5 at this point with my husband that we never, music, ministry, education, we never would have gone on these types of trips. Have I worked hard for them? Yes. But man, have we had a blast traveling together because of Beachbody, going to our annual conferences. So much fun, so life-giving. Just being surrounded by other people. I think Sarah had said, being other people who get it, who like are excited about this too. And it's not because we all love to exercise, because probably half of us would say, I don't really like to exercise. But it's because we want to be healthy. We want to be a light, right, in dark places, for women, and just, yeah. And so it's just that kind of common goal. So the travel has been super fun. And then potential to earn supplemental to full-time income doing something you love. We don't say this quite as much anymore, but we used to say, and it still holds true, there's people who just kind of sign up mostly for the discount and might bring in a person or two here or there. There's people who say, I kind of want to cover my Shakeology. I'm gonna kind of be, relaxed with it. But the reality is that in an hour of focused, solid work, takes bravery, takes, those types of things. But in doing, an hour to 2 hours a day, you can build a really solid business, bring in income that has, for some people, it's, I want to pay for vacation. For others, I mean, right now, gas, groceries, all the things that have gotten really expensive. But for us, it has pretty much replaced, and made it really totally optional for whether or not I want to do anything else, income wise. And that's been really freeing. So, to do something you love, is it always easy? No. But it's definitely worth it. So if you're willing to work hard on becoming your best self through health and fitness, pause. There are 4 vital behaviors of a Beachbody coach. The first is be proof the products work, not have 6-pack abs, not, be perfect, but it's like actually doing the thing and realizing this changes my life by focusing on my health. Another vital behavior is personal development. And I love that. We are one of the only companies that is basically like, it's part of your workday. They encourage like take 10 minutes a day, whether it's a podcast or a book, something that's developing you personally, and helping you to grow as a human being so that we are healthier and also, personal and professional. So like learning things that help us grow. So becoming our best self through health and fitness, put in the work daily, have big dreams and set big goals. And this is for you. Everybody's goals are different. And that is, as a business mentor, my desire is always to understand, like, what do you want out of this? Because I don't want to want something for you that you don't want. But what I do want to know, if you set fear aside, or as I said to my team a week or two ago, if you punched, what was it? Fear and something else in the face, what would your goal be this month? And just, if we set that aside, what would you really like to accomplish? And really working on the mindset aspect of things, to go for it and to say, let's go for it together. And that's the cool thing, is that it really is kind of yes, we're each working individually, but there's this vision of, if we work together as a team, of coaches, imagine the ripple effect. like my heart for this is generational, like not just we're, helping a person here or there, but just realizing that when, like Sally said, you change one person, you change a family. Just the fact that for so many of us, we grew up in the generation of like fitness was a punishment for what you ate and about getting the perfect body and about this and food, 100-calorie packs and diet soda, but instead like just make this impact of this it doesn't need to be that way, right? Making it about life, about health. So imagine where you could be if you chose to focus on your health and look at only what could go right. And I think that's the biggest thing that this idea of mindset that we talk about all the time is, and Mary, one of the coaches on our team, she said, if I could have gotten scared and just quit, she said, but because I've stuck around and committed to the long game and like done the personal development, she's like, I am changing as a human being because I'm doing this. And so at Summit, our annual conference, we talked about, if I never, earned a single dollar, but I kept showing up doing, I'm going to be a healthier human being. I'm going to be in a better place, more self-aware, between focusing on our own health and fitness, the personal development, and I'm going to have an amazing community of women that I'm doing this with, the friendships and the connections, like that in and of itself makes it worth it. Because the reality is, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but like being a coach doesn't cost anything more. It's like $16 a month. And usually we earn that right back. So it's not like I'm paying tons of money like you would if you're paying for rent or you're paying for this, but we're just like doing what we would normally be doing anyway, but inviting other people to join us. So when coaches get started, we have weekly team calls. Sally's, I think we're on Sundays, I forget, but our team calls are Monday nights at 8:15. 8:15, we aim to be done by 9. It's usually 9:05 or so. But we like hanging out. And so we collaborate on groups and things like that. We do training together. We talk through the challenges. We just sometimes, share what's going on in our lives. One-on-one training mentorship. Both of us Sally and I have a slightly different way of going about things, but we have training materials. We do one-on-one calls. We have smaller group calls, things like that, essentially based on whatever your goals are to help you move forward. And we do have a great coach online office that has been really upgraded in the last 4 or 5 years with lots of training. Every week, the whole coaching network does a really great training call that you can watch it live or on the replay. There's just endless resources. Really, the challenge is simplifying it and only, not feeling like you have to do all the things, because there's tons of resources and training. And that's the great thing. But really, the big thing is our number one job, I always tell people, is first and foremost to focus on our own health and wellness and to share our process, to be a light, to ask, how can I add value, not just in a health and wellness way, but how can I just add value to the world around me, and share that. And so if this is something, watching live or on the replay that interests you, the first step is just having a conversation with the coach that invited you. If you're not already plugged into our fitness community, getting plugged in, committing to your own journey. And again, we know that is sometimes it's going great and sometimes it's hard, but that's just real life. And then we help you get signed up in the way that fits you best and jump on in and figure out. And I really feel strongly that like we look at what your goals are and we figure out a pace that kind of works for you for that. So that kind of takes us to the end, and that's Q&A. And Jill, I know there will be people in the replay, but I'm curious for you, because you get Sarah and I kind of all to yourself here. Do you have any questions? It's okay if you don't, but is there anything that you're like, I'm really curious about this, you said this, anything like that?
Okay. So for when it comes to Facebook, I don't post all that often. And I think I would be nervous about all of a sudden, like I'm just out there and like posting my story and everything. I don't know. Maybe I'm just worried about like what others are gonna perceive that as. And you touched on it before, like not wanting to be salesy and things like that. Um, so I guess maybe there's a process to how much or how little you do post on Facebook. Am I right?
Yeah. So it's so funny you said that. Hey, Sally, she just said
Hi.
she doesn't, she doesn't, post on Facebook super often. And so she wouldn't want to just like show up and post. And here's the funny thing, Jill, is that I heard like verbatim the exact same thing. I'm trying to think of what coach it was that signed up with me in the last number of months. That's pretty much exactly the same thing that she said. And one of the first things that I said to her is, you know what? Not everybody you're friends with sees all your posts. So I think the first thing is we kind of feel like I'm suddenly posting like once a day or twice, and everybody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, Jill's there. But no, we feel like it's a big deal. But I mean, you're not like, if anything, it's like, oh, hey, cool, I'm seeing a little bit more from so and so. But it's not as big of a deal on the other side as it feels to us.
Okay. Yeah.
The other thing too is really, I know one of the big things that we talk about is like, we don't want to post about health and fitness all the time. Like, because then people are going to be, I mean, the people who sell such and such and all they ever post about is such and such. Or like our goal is to kind of add value, share life, be present, build trust, build relationships. You having been in ministry, this is actually, there's a lot of parallels of just like building quality relationships and building trust with people. And the opportunity that we have to be a light and an encouragement. So I think when we flip that switch a little bit of like, if we go at it as I'm selling things, then it seems like scary. But if it's like, hey, how can I add value today? Does that shift anything in your mind as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, a little bit. It does. It kind of takes the pressure off a little. Hang on a second. I've got an invasion from an 8-year-old.
Oh yeah. We have a lot of those around here. But that's a great question and a really common one. Sally or Sarah, do you guys have anything to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, Sally kind of touched on it earlier. I mean, when I got started with coaching, I mean, I posted a lot of things about my family, certainly not, on a daily basis or even weekly basis, but I would try to keep it. I was at the point where I was just like, anything happy and non-political is what I'll be posting. Like when I was getting started, it was just like, things are just bonkers and they still are. But, like Sally mentioned, I was really, like anxious about the concept of like doing, stories, and reels were definitely like not going to happen. There was no way I was doing those things. Excuse me. And it kind of became one of those things where it was like, one day I just said like, we're ripping the Band-Aid off and it's gonna be okay. And guess what? It was okay. Like I didn't, it's not, and I still don't like, I do it on my own terms, like I don't do it like Emily, and I don't do it like Sally, and I don't do it like so-and-so coach. I do things the way that I think I need to. Like I make sure that I mix things up and I'm not always constantly just only posting about coaching, kind of like Emily just said, like even in my stories, like I'm sharing other things about like other things that are going on in my life, other things that I'm involved in and stuff. And it's one of those things where it takes a little bit of time. Like it's possible that in the beginning, people might be kind of like, oh, where's this coming from? But then if you stay consistent with it and you just kind of slowly keep showing up and keep doing it, then people will be like, okay, this is Jill, and this, like, I'm actually kind of getting to know her a little bit more. And, like, and I would imagine that's going to be a good thing for people to get to know you better. You know, it does sometimes require you to be willing to be a little bit more vulnerable with things, but not every single time, right? Sometimes it can just be a silly post about whatever, you know? So yeah, so I mean, you have to figure out your vibe and what you're most comfortable with. And maybe it starts out with just one post, right? And you just start there and then you build from that with whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're feeling, if you put that in the post, so for example, like I envision, like I would say something, because this was me, I'd ever posted. I would say something like, okay, so I've been a little quiet, and I actually don't even think I've shared with you guys, but I've been on this health and fitness journey for a while, and I've been feeling really good, and just kind of talk a little bit about your story and your journey. And then you say, I really want to help and serve other people. You know, I really want to be able to help people. So you might see a more increase in posting from me, and that's okay. But I'm hoping that my page becomes a place where you can come and get support and get help. And that's really my mission and my goal. So you might see more posting from me, but I just wanted to be like, put that out there and say, I was helped in this way, and I want more people to feel that same way. So put it out there and tell them, hey, you're going to see more from me, and this is why. And then another thing that we do, that I do with my coaches, and I know, you know, Emily and Sarah, you both have the planner too, but a social media weekly planner. So you can write down like, okay, I'm going to actually talk about my journey on this day, but I might want to share a recipe on this day. I'm going to talk about the hot mess that we just had, you know, or even simply talking about, I was on a team call tonight, and, you know, my 8-year-old came in, and this is mom life. Like, this is what we do. And we just kind of went rolling with the punches. One mom was in her car with her daughter who's eating a Twix in the back seat, and she's promised them to use her phone on the way home so she can finish the call in the car. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. It's the real life moments that people will connect with. And that's really what it's all about. So it's okay if people see more stuff from you. Take it as a compliment, because they're watching you. They're interested in you. And if they were to say, oh, you're posting a whole lot more, say, yeah, because I realize that this is an amazing platform where I can serve more people. And how cool is it that you even noticed? Like, thanks for actually noticing. Like, turn it around and say, thanks for noticing. That's awesome, right?
Mhm.
Because that's what it's about.
Absolutely. I think, and just to speak to the one thing you said about maybe I'm worried about what people think. Welcome to the club. Like, that is like the number one. Everybody deals with that. Unless they're like really hard-hearted or something, I don't know. Like I mean, I know some really, you know, people who don't care what people think, but I would say that the majority of us do. Not that those people are hard-hearted, but you know what I mean? Like, I think that's just a very common thing and that's the beauty also of a team and working with the other coaches and having a solid community, because it's something we process together. And that's something that the personal development aspect also speaks to. Anything else, Jill, that you're like, oh, I'd really love to ask this, or curious?
So real quick then, just kind of coming out of, you know, what other people think, do you guys feel like this has helped you on your own journey of gaining more confidence?
Yeah. We're all
Let me tell you, I ate lunch in the school counselor's office of middle school. My school nurse was my best friend in elementary school. And when I started coaching, I had like 100 friends on Facebook, because I unfriended everybody because I didn't want them to see my life. Because I was like, I don't want them to see what I'm doing. And I'm telling you, the confidence that I have grown, seeing people come out of their comfort zone, the personal development, that's one of our core values that we do. That's one of our things we do, is personal development, and matching the personal development with what you don't feel strong in is so important. You can't help yourself, because what you'll notice with this community, and Emily, I'm sure it's the same on your team as on ours, you're not going to find people who are going to wallow with you. They're going to support and encourage you and help you get out of wherever you are, wherever you're feeling. So if you go in and you say, oh, you know, I'm really struggling with this, they're going to say, okay, like, let's chat this through. How can we get out of that? How can we become more confident? What can we do to help you? Like, you'll notice that the community is so empowering and so uplifting that it almost like forces you to become more confident, because you feel so inspired by other people and the stories of others who have come out of that. And I will tell you now, I am so confident to the point where like even my kids are learning this. Like I said to my son something the other day and he's like, that's your mindset, mom. Like that's what you're telling yourself. That's the story you're telling yourself. And I was like, I want to be really mad at you for talking back to me. He's 14, but I'm really proud that you just threw that back in my face.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I think what we've also been given is, or what we are gaining is the tools to process through and to recognize and become more self-aware of, things like, okay, I'm feeling this right now, and I can say that is a lie. And here's the truth. And learning to kind of practice that. And some of that comes from, and I mean, some of that it's a matter of, we really going to dig into the personal development? Are we really going to trust the community? Are we going to actually press in and share? I mean, you've been in challenge groups, do we disappear when it's hard, or do we lean in and we say, if this is hard, I need help, right? And so I think that's where, when people are willing to do the work and say, I'm gonna be here for this, and I might get scared, but I'm gonna go scared. I think that's where it's a long game. Like there are definite times where we all do not feel confident, but I think seeing that over time, just the journey and the process of growing in that, for sure. That's a great question. Yeah, the story I'm telling myself is we're learning to recognize those patterns in ourselves and grow through that.
I would say Brene Brown is really good for that, like daring greatly. Also, any sort of faith-based personal development. Like truly, there's so many, but there's literally a personal development that's for anything that you're not feeling strong in. I feel like by the time that you finish that, you're like, oh, okay, because you apply it as you go. But daring greatly is really a great one, because it just kind of helps you do that. And like the 5-second rule, Mel Robbins talks a lot about anxiety, procrastination, and not feeling confident. The 5-second rule is really good. Like we can totally recommend things where you can be like, okay. And for me personally, I like listening to them. I like audiobooks because I can hear them in my head. I can hear them talking to me, because sometimes my most anxious times and my most non-confident times are when I'm in the car and I feel stressed. I want to listen to an audiobook then. And then I feel like, oh, okay. Whew, kind of calm me down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else, Jill? Those are great questions.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any.
Okay. This is probably gonna, things may come up, and this is where you just shoot me a message like, hey, Emily, I was thinking about what you said about this. I just, Sally mentioned about faith-based personal development. The beauty of this, I mean, anybody who knows me knows that that's a big part of how I share and what's important to me. The beauty of this community and about coaching is that there is not one way, and there is not one, platform but I think too, for those people who that is an important part of them, they will find that that's actually, there's a lot of commonalities, a lot of like-minded people. And I think just when for those who are coming at it from a faith perspective, I think there's a beautiful just ways that you can kind of just combine the idea of this is all connected, like our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health, all of these things connect. And so whether the spiritual is an important part to people, I think just recognizing that there's this whole it's all a part of who we are, and how we are in one area affects how we are in another. And so the personal development part can play into that and how we grow, but also in how we share. So in that idea of, what we share on social media, just recognizing that there's so much more to each of us than just the health and fitness, or just this or just that, but that we all have something really of value to share. And I think that is the big thing of just recognizing that each of us has a story. It's going to be different than the other. And that's the beauty also of just having a network, is my story might speak to you. It might not speak to someone else. And so just, continuing to share and knowing that the people who will be blessed by what we have to offer, just praying like that they be put in our path and that we get the chance to help them. So thank you so much, ladies. Jill, if you have any questions, I'll follow up with you. Sarah and Sally, thank you. And for anybody who's watching the replay, as you watch, just send questions our way because we want to chat about it. So, all right, ladies, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.